Tom and Jerry's Merry Christmas. Told by Peter Archer. Jerry Mouse hung up his Christmas stocking in a stocking for his little friend Tuffy. Then he went to the door of the mouse hole and peeped out. Tom Cat was crouched in the Big People's kitchen, not 2 squares away from the mouse hole, and he was watching it closely. "We'll never get so much as a crumb to put in our stockings unless he goes away," said Jerry. And Tom certainly didn't mean to do that. He meant to guard all the goodies in the kitchen and on the tree so that Cook would give him a fine big helping of Christmas dinner. "But don't worry," said Jerry. "There's a way to get rid of him." And he ran into the living room and started to saw a new mouse hole door. "What's that noise?" wondered Tom, tiptoeing out of the kitchen and along the wall to the place where Jerry was working. "Now you saw," Jerry whispered to Tuffy. The minute Tuffy began, Jerry Mouse scurried out the back door with a pillowcase over his shoulder. He was soon filling it with candy and nuts and stuffed dates. But as he backed past the heaping bowls, he bumped into one that was too near the edge. It was filled with cranberry sauce. Crash! Splash! Down to the floor it went. "What was that?" Tom cried. He came racing into the kitchen just in time to see Jerry, bag and all, disappear into the mouse hole. Then Tom saw the cranberry sauce. "If Cook sees that," he moaned, "there'll be no Christmas dinner for me." And as little as he liked it, he began to lick up every last bit. While Tom was busy at that, Jerry and Tuffy finished their new door. Then they peeped out at the Big People's Christmas tree. It was so beautiful that they both gasped. "Oh," sighed Tuffy, "I'd like to have that little horn that's way up near the top." And Jerry squeaked, "I'd like to have that little drum." Then both those mice must have had the same idea at the same time, because they both smiled secret smiles. And when Jerry seemed to be sound asleep, Tuffy went tiptoeing out the back door. He soon came back with the little drum, hid it under his bed, and crawled back under the covers. He squeezed his eyes shut and snored away as if he'd been there all the time. "Asleep at last," said Jerry, stealing out the front door and up the Big People's tree. "Tuffy will have a Merry Christmas anyway," he thought, as he unhooked the little horn. But just as Jerry got to the bottom of the tree, whom did he see creeping between him and the mouse hole but his enemy, Tom Cat. Poor Jerry! He flattened himself against the trunk, sure that he was done for this time. And then he saw that Tom wasn't even trying to catch him. Instead, that old cat was carrying a beautiful mouse-sized tree, all trimmed with bits of popcorn, tasty cheese, and tiny candy beads. While Jerry watched, he pushed it through their new door and backed away, looking just about as sheepish as a cat ever looked, and murmuring, "Oh, well, Christmas comes but once a year." "What do you know about that?" gasped Jerry. He put Tuffy's present under that beautiful little tree and hurried into the bedroom. "Wake up, Tuffy," he said. "Come with me." Then Jerry led Tuffy to their storeroom because it took them both to get out the big brand new can of sardines that he had hidden there, tied with a red ribbon and propped against Tom's bowl. It made a most wonderful present. "But why give him a present?" asked Tuffy. Instead of answering, Jerry took him in to see their Christmas tree. "It's from Tom Cat. Tom Cat gave it to us," he said, "and the horn is for me." Soon the two little mice were merrily playing carols. It wasn't long before Tom found his present too. "For me?" he cried. "They got a present for me?" With happy tears in his eyes, he began to purr the same tune that Jerry and Tuffy were playing. Then down the two mice sat, one on each side of Tom Cat, and all three, grinning from ear to ear, played and sang in close harmony. "A very Merry Christmas to all."